Hey, good morning. It is Wednesday, November 27th, 2024, the day before Thanksgiving. Can you believe it's already here? I'm Crystal Moyer filling in for Bridgett for Breakfast with Bridgett. We appreciate you joining us. We have a lot to get through today. I know some folks are planning to get out and travel. We've had some issues on our highway, so we're going to get with Trooper Steve to talk about what's been going on along I-4. That's going to slow you down if you're planning to use that this morning. Also, we've got not one, but two cold fronts that our meteorologist Michelle Morgan is going to talk about. We're going to see a bit of a warm up, then things are going to change a little bit to bring us into that holiday spirit if you're excited about that. Also, holiday travel. We were talking about the roadways. A lot of folks out flying, maybe heading to MCO this morning or later on today. News 6's Angie Casada has been out there all morning long, and you may be surprised about how things are going on out there when it comes to TSA. As we head into the holidays, many people might feel lonely, especially those teenagers, turning to artificial intelligence, those AI chatbots. Unfortunately, it could cause some issues. So we're going to talk to a counselor about that and an unfortunate thing that happened here in Orlando that's kind of bringing awareness to parents when it comes to chatbots and their teens. And of course, we're going to do some giveaways to ICE and give you a behind the scenes look at the Nutcracker by the Orlando Ballet. We have a special program that will be airing on Thanksgiving Day, and we'll share that in just a moment. But first, let's get to meteorologist Michelle Morgan filling in for Candace this morning, looking very cutesy, very mindful, and very demure this morning. We can't hear you. We need to get your audio up. I don't know what's going on, but I'll explain because the Webster Word of the Year, they come out with that every year. This year, it's demure. And if you're on social media, you have heard that term, went viral. Trooper Steve loves that word. So we'll talk about that. But Michelle, we may need to have you go on to a cell phone because I cannot hear you. Your audio's not up. So we will try that, but let's go ahead and get to Trooper Steve to talk about traffic, and we'll get to Michelle in just a moment. So, Trooper Steve, we were talking a little bit about some of the issues along I-4 that shut down lanes for a good portion of the morning.
Yeah, it was what I like to call a soup sandwich as your appetizer right before Thanksgiving meal. It has not been very nice out there. Michelle's laughing because anytime you say the word soup sandwich, I want people to mentally imagine that
Sage.
just the two cheapest pieces of loaves of bread you can think of and a cold chicken soup on top
Mm,
of
mm,
that.
mm, mm, mm.
And that's what we have right now. So let's go straight to it. DOT cam out here in Volusia County. This is a mess. This is
Yikes.
going to be westbound. And this is, Crystal, guys, anybody watching right now, this is the second crash that we've had within a 2 mile span. So this is westbound at the 111. All westbound lanes are slowly getting by, and any progress is better than no progress this morning. So that left lane is open. Does look like they have the center lane traveling, but this involves multiple vehicles. I believe about 5 to 6 vehicles, including some semi trucks. And then earlier we were shut down over at Saxon for a crash that struck the Enterprise overpass. So now we're dealing with delays east and westbound out there. If you're looking at the map, some of our side streets as well. Graves is seeing some delays, but 1792 is flowing just fine. So if you have to use I-4 this morning and head west, just understand there are some major delays only in Volusia because outside of that, Crystal, we're not doing too bad. This is a minor crash on Orange Blossom Trail in the city of Orlando, just south of Colonial. And then nice and clear. I did expect bigger delays along the Turnpike and I-4 eastbound and the attractions, but this morning we're not seeing them as bad as expected. So, but you and I reported this morning, they flat out said, hey, AAA says between 1 and 5 o'clock this afternoon, we will see some heavy delays. So people need to be prepared for that. The Turnpike down in Kissimmee, not bad. And Lake Nona still looking good. I'll give you one quick drive time on I-4. Look how nice this is. This is what I dream about. 20-minute drive times on I-4, sign me up. So outside of those major westbound delays, Crystal and Volusia, people just need to make sure they're paying attention. Today is not the day to have your face in your phone.
Nope. Put
It
them
is the
down.
day to, yes, everyone and anybody out on the roads, if you think you're stressed, they're going through the exact same situation that you are. So take it nice and easy, please. It is Thanksgiving. It is a week of giving thanks and being positive. So, yeah, outside of that, we have no information yet from Florida Highway Patrol, but hopefully we'll get some information soon on how this actually occurred.
All right, thanks, Trooper Steve. And later on this morning, you're going to be on patrol talking about traffic during the holidays.
Yeah, I'm going to try to actually embed myself in some of this nasty stuff so we can drive in it and get paid to drive into traffic. So we'll have a good time and just show some of that today and just preaching to the choir, really. And hopefully it's demure and it's mindful and it's cutesy.
I love it, Steve.
I
What time could we see that?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
clickorlando.com, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And I believe the queen of demure is back up and running for you. So you can go back to meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
Thank you, Trooper Steve. Be safe out there. You know, meteorologist Michelle Morgan, she doesn't leave me hanging. She's got a backup, very mindful, very demure. Let's get back to the weather.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me now. I just
can.
want to say I love that Trooper Steve is being such a good player.
It's because the holidays are coming up. So Steve's
not
being
really his
extra
thing, but he's
nice.
just so good at it, right? Very cutesy, very mindful. Alrighty, you know what, Crystal? In all seriousness, we're looking at a pretty good forecast today, especially if you like it nice and warm. Temperatures will be in the lower 80s across central Florida, and then upper 70s along our coast with no rain on in the forecast. We do have a stationary front that is way up to the north that's really hanging over the Big Bend area. It's going to stay there and not necessarily bring any showers to the area. But then eventually it'll transition into a cold front as we head into Thursday night and Friday. And that's going to bring some cooler air as we head into the weekend. So starting you off here with your current temperatures, if you're getting ready, about to head out the door, the kids are out of school this week, so you don't have to really worry about a bus stop forecast or getting them out the door. But we're looking pretty good here. Temperatures are in the 50s across the peninsula. Titusville, 56, 55 in Kissimmee, and 59 in Cocoa Beach. So we're looking pretty good here. If you are about to head out the door, now your planning forecast will be in the 70s around 10, upper 70s around lunch, and then eventually seeing a daytime high of 82 degrees this afternoon. So looking pretty nice, but it'll be very warm, especially for November standards. And could you believe it? December is next week, really on Sunday. So it's coming up quick. Now, afternoon highs, as I mentioned, 80s, upper 70s, looking pretty nice here if you like the milder weather. And your clouds and rain forecast looking great. Not a drop of rain in sight, a few isolated showers up north, and that's about it. Many of us will see clear skies, and that setup will last as we head into tonight. So overnight temperatures are expected to dip into the 50s and 60s across central Florida. Not too bad here. I do want to show you your Thanksgiving forecast. In the morning, you're about to start the turkey. We're looking at abundant sunshine. We'll be in the 60s to kick off our Thursday morning, and then middle 70s around 11, lower 80s around lunch, and then a high of 84. And the evening hours looks fine. We'll be in the upper 70s and staying above average there. Let's go ahead and talk about this colder weather on the way. This is your second cold front. This cold front will be much stronger than the first one. This is the one that's going to bring the significantly colder air to the area. And we're talking about wake-up temperatures in the 30s and 40s to kick off our Monday morning. And those 40s and 30s are going to stick around at least through the first half of the week. Again, these are wake-up temperatures, not afternoon highs. But nonetheless, temperatures will be in the middle to upper 60s as we head into next week. Those are your afternoon highs, so we will be below average. So the key takeaways from this forecast: mild today and tomorrow. We're looking at cooler weather as we head into the weekend. We'll be in the 60s. Next cold front heads through our area Sunday into Monday, and that is what's going to bring that colder air to central Florida. Look at your Monday morning temperatures, 46 degrees in the metro area. And keep in mind, usually with fronts, our winds begin to pick up out of the north. So when you get those strong gusty winds, that's going to create a wind chill. So temperatures will feel like the upper 30s and lower 40s. So we're looking at some chilly stuff across central Florida. So I know it is burr. So I don't know about you, Crystal. I'm actually looking forward to the colder weather because it just really puts you in the holiday spirit.
You could go to Gaylord Palms and go to ice for that. I don't want to see that outside my window.
Well,
Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Well, get your coats ready, folks. Thanks, Michelle. Have a good one. All right, so we were talking a little bit about travel on the roadways. Now, many folks taking to the skies, TSA expecting to screen nearly 3 million passengers for Thanksgiving. And of course, many of them flying out of MCO. That's at the Orlando International Airport. And that's where we have News 6's Angie Casada. She's been out there all morning long, and she's got a smile on her face because usually it is hectic out there. But this morning, not so much.
Oh my gosh, no. And you would think when you hear that number, 3 million people, like that would give me anxiety, especially if I'm traveling. But the
Right.
crazy thing about it, Crystal, is that like, look at this. I'm going to show you right now. Right now, the wait time for standard TSA is 8 to 12 minutes, right?
Which is
There's
unheard of.
nobody in it. Like, they're going through. You have a longer line at TSA pre-check than regular TSA.
Look, I just
You
want to
even have a
mention
longer line.
you were able to
Look
get
at
that
this.
coffee too. That's how not busy it is.
Listen, you know it's beautiful when Starbucks doesn't have an insane line. So I said it earlier in the shows. I'm all about traveling early. I'm huge on time management. And that's what they're encouraging, right? If you can get here early, I love this. They even mentioned Orlando, MCO, of course. They mentioned the 3-2-1 rule. That means get here 3 hours before your flight is supposed to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Get to security 2 hours prior, and then get to the gate at least 1 hour prior. So it's like boom, bam, bam, right? And everybody's been doing that. Everybody's been getting here on time. You don't see anybody rushing. It's been super smooth. Like I said, where is the line? Look at that, 4 to 8. It just went down.
That's awesome. And
4 to 8
Angie,
minutes.
when it comes to getting to the airport, though, a lot of folks concerned about parking because usually we see that parking garages fill up over
Yeah.
at MCO. What is that looking like right now?
So here at MCO, when we actually just spoke with the valet probably like 20, 25 minutes ago, and they said they're almost already at capacity at
Okay.
MCO. That's not to say, you know, the parking garages and the services that they have outside of MCO, but in partnership. And when we spoke with them earlier this morning, they were open. But as far as MCO, they're pretty packed. So a lot of folks, you know, they're encouraging just to call ahead. If you're coming, you know, either later on this afternoon or maybe you're flying the day of Thanksgiving tomorrow, just call ahead, get a quick, you know, update. That's probably your best bet, as well as, you know, we spoke on the app. I didn't really talk about it earlier this morning, but you mentioned it, Crystal. The app is golden.
Yeah, Eric Von Aken, he has the story on clickorlando.com. He walks you through the entire app. You can reserve a parking spot. You can also, they have like I don't want to say it's a pre-check, but you can reserve when you go through the TSA line at MCO if you're concerned about that,
Yeah.
and pick a time slot to go there. But, you know, obviously the morning, pretty good. But as the day progresses, if you didn't take those morning flights, we know things could get a little dicey. So make sure that you're getting to the
Oh,
airport
yeah.
in enough time. And you have your brother coming in. Tell us about that.
I do. I'm hoping and anticipating that I'm just going to randomly see him when he comes walking out. But he's flying in. He's my younger brother. His name is Danny. He lives in Atlanta. And yeah, he's coming into town for the holidays. So I'm super excited. I even have family flying in from California, but they're not getting here
Wow.
until later this afternoon. So it is definitely a busy travel day. I feel like someone knows someone that knows someone that's flying out of MCO.
Oh, that's for sure. And your brother better come out. We better see some coverage, an interview. You put that camera in his face.
Oh yeah, you already know. And I'm even if I don't, I'm probably gonna do like a prank on him and act like we're live.
You should.
Just cause.
That would
Right?
be so
Wouldn't that
funny.
be epic?
Well, thank you so much, Angie.
But it's been really smooth, Crystal. It's been good.
Well, good to hear. And of course, if you're heading out there later on today, things can change. I want you to keep that in mind. So make sure you use that 3-2-1 rule.
Yes.
Get out there 3 hours in advance. All right, Angie, thank you so
Absolutely.
much for joining us from MCO. We'll see you later. Take care.
Bye.
All right, some good news there from MCO. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with a very important conversation about AI companions. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm Crystal Moyer, filling in while Bridgett is off for the holidays. We're getting to a very serious conversation here, and this is about AI companions. You know, a lot of adults, even teenagers, getting into these apps where they're chatting with a chat bot, a bot initially, and they could take on characteristics of their favorite characters from TV, or even turn into their virtual girlfriends and boyfriends, and that can cause some serious issues. So I want to bring in a licensed mental health professional, Shantala Boss with Boss Wellness. Good morning.
Good morning.
So obviously this is something parents need to keep an eye on when it comes to their teens. And just to let parents know, I want to name some of these platforms. We've got Character AI, Replica, Kindroid, and Nomi.
Okay. Yes, unfortunately, these are getting more and more popular. They started coming out about a year ago, getting really popular, and I'm hearing more about it now than ever before. So the main concern that I have with these things are they have a way of increasing the positive reinforcement and the dopamine in the brain, especially for teenagers. This can be highly addictive and can cause increased social isolation. So if a child is already struggling with mental health issues or not making friends or not being active and involved, this will only encourage that. And I think sometimes we look at it as an alternate means of connection, but it is artificial and it increases a child or adult's tendency towards increased isolation and false expectations of relationships because you're only getting positive reinforcement. It's scanning for and looking for everything that interests you, everything that gratifies you, and that's not a real relationship. Relationships are give and take work. So it becomes highly addictive and can really isolate a person and make them feel like they have to have these expectations of everyone else around because it is so real and they become so immersed because of that dopamine hit. It seems crazy, but it actually happens to adults, and especially teens are very vulnerable for this.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned the vulnerability because Shantala, we just covered a very serious story. This has been a hot topic after a 14-year-old out of Orlando, Florida, committed suicide. Sewell Setzer the third and his mother suing Character AI, saying that that encouragement and claiming that it was a wrongful death and that the product was designed to manipulate him. So this is brought to the forefront chatbots and AI companionship because there are some signs here. His mom was saying, he was not paying attention in school. He got out of sports. He was very isolated. What are some of the signs that parents need to look out for?
Well, those all are extremely important. Isolation, lack of interest in things once enjoyed, increased watching a phone, high addiction. If they get really angry, if you take the phone, kids do anyway, but an increased anger or hostility because they're going to always be on it when they're getting that instant gratification, instant response. And also, if you have a child who maybe does struggle a little socially or could be more of a victim towards this type of manipulation, you really need to educate them and watch out for downloads of these apps. I think sometimes it looks like an alternative, and sometimes people misunderstand it. But these chat boxes can also scan the internet for anything that a child may have looked up. If they're young and don't know about a lot of things, they may look up things that are sexual or inappropriate in content, and the AI will actually talk about those things, reinforce those things, and have sexual conversations with children. So they're learning things that are highly inappropriate. They don't have parental guidance. So their depression levels and anger issues can really increase because their minds are too young for this, or they haven't actually had a real conversation with an adult about this. So these are all warning signs that, something needs to be done. You need to look at that. And, if it's impossible to kind of remove them immediately, try to wean them off and get them involved in other things. Find out what they're missing in their relationships with their peers, what they long for, because this is meant to replace all of that. But the problem is it's not real. And like you said, it manipulates the user. There can be changes on the platform where they can no longer access things, whether it's due to monetary issues, whatever. And this can be devastating, even for adults. I've heard some things about adults that connect with these, they're like, well, relationships are too difficult. And then they lose that AI. It feels like a real person to them. And it's devastating and very difficult. So it's really important to, it may seem interesting, it may seem fun, but a person that is really prone to addiction of these type of things or really struggling socially is definitely not good. And I do not recommend it for any teens.
Yeah.
Recommendations are 13 and above, but I would not say any teenager should be involved in this. They need to be involved in their school and their activities. They're already on their phones enough. This will only make it more.
Yeah, and Chantal, I don't think parents realize that these chatbots can really create these intense bonds with teenagers. I mean, these AI programs going through what they've been researching, in this case of 14-year-old Sewell Setzer, I mean, his mom says he was having sexual conversations with this chatbot. And how can parents really kind of see what kind of conversations are being had between their teens and these AI chatbots?
Well, there are different ways to look at what they're seeing. Of course, we don't want to impede on teens. Um, they're trying to develop their independence. They're trying to, have that freedom. But there needs to be, from the beginning, long conversations about the risks of AI and social media in general and limits on those things, not in a punishing way, but in a way to teach kids moderation and how to have real relationships. And that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, if you have a teenager who already has an AI companion and they're attached to this AI character, it would not be good to immediately remove them from that. But I would say having these conversations, encouraging them to do other things outside with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly limiting that access until it is gone because it is so unhealthy. But parents are able to put monitors on their phones and see kind of what their teens are at least accessing. Maybe they don't want to read their messages so that they have more information if they're actually trying to download these apps, etc., without actually looking into their teenager's phone or upsetting
Yeah.
them. You know,
And
so
this,
it's a fine line with teenagers and not pushing them too hard if they've had access to something, because then they're going to get angry and they're just going to find another way to access it. So that's why we have to encourage behavior outside of that. With addictive tendencies with anyone, and this is highly addictive because of the
mm-hmm.
dopamine rush, we always need to replace the behavior, not just completely take it away and say you're done. That'll only make things worse. So parents need to kind of research, kind of walk a little bit of a fine line here and have a lot of conversations with their teens.
Yeah, so even after these conversations, Shantala, at what point when we're starting to see these characteristics of addiction and isolation, at what point do we need to move towards seeking a professional, whether it's counseling or someone else to get involved?
Well, if a parent's really talked to their kids about it and started limiting and trying to help them pull away, but they're unable to do so, and they're increasing like loss of appetite, loss of interest, increased anger, some behavioral problems. A lot of times when teens are depressed, they show it as anger. They don't show it as depression or anxiety, or they show it as withdrawal. So they don't always know how to express to you that they're anxious or sad. They'll just show it as anger. So if you see more of that after you're trying to have these conversations and limit it, it's really important that they see a mental health professional. And unfortunately, with this young man, it just probably came out of nowhere. It suddenly he was removed from the device. So also talking to them about this, that this is not a real person. This could be taken away at any time. They cannot count on this person. It isn't a person. But I think at that point, if they're unable to bridge the gap between fantasy and reality, they really need to see someone. And I think that can happen rather quickly, even though we don't it's hard for me to even believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But human behavior, we crave relationship, we crave connection. And if we're not getting that, this can become so toxic because we can get so connected and then not look for outside connections. And it can be very, very detrimental.
Yeah, and that's just the reality of technology now, and the introduction and AI. So thank you so much, Shantala Boss with Boss Wellness, for joining us this morning. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about a programming change that we have. If you're one of our loyal viewers of News 6 and one of our News 6 Plus viewers, we do have a special that will be airing tomorrow at 10 a.m. and on Black Friday at 10 a.m. And if you've ever been out to see The Nutcracker by the Orlando Ballet, it is incredible. I'm saying very talented, a lot going on there. The Orlando Ballet has been in existence for over 50 years, and they have a special documentary. I have the name here. It's called Artistry and Innovation Reimagining the Nutcracker. And it's talking about the new choreography they have had, just the change over history of everything they've been doing. It's incredible. I've got to go behind the scenes and look at some of the puppetry that happens. You can go to clickorlando.com/insider to take a look at that. But 10 a.m. on tomorrow, Thanksgiving, and 10 a.m. on Black Friday, we will be airing that 1-hour documentary. Good for kids and adults. You're going to love to see those behind the scenes, takes, videos, interviews about how they make the Nutcracker happen. And maybe if this is a holiday tradition for you and your family to go out and see it, this will be a great way to see how things happen behind the scenes before you go out to the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center to see it. So again, if you want to learn some more information on that, clickorlando.com/insider. We will have that documentary airing tomorrow and Friday, and that will also be on News 6 Plus through December. So you'll be able to see it that way as well. All right, let's wrap up with some contests here. We are still giving away tickets to ICE featuring Elf at Gaylord Palms. We're giving away tickets every day through Friday. You still have a chance to win. Just head to clickorlando.com/insider. Enter as many times as you'd like. We'll be pulling winners every day through Friday. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Krista Moyer, filling in for Bridgett on Breakfast with Bridgett. Have a good one.